I bet Trump was excited about that. Hold on a second here. Let me get this straight, fella. You're telling me you get paid to eat beef. That's what you're saying? For years, I've been doing it pro bono.
As Trump's insults ricocheted across cable news and social media, the late-night hosts didn't just respond, they coordinated without coordinating, like a comedy firing squad that suddenly realized they were all aiming at the same target. What started as one angry rant about no talent, comedians quickly snowballed into the most relentless late-night counterattack the genre has seen in years. Trump wasn't just criticizing jokes anymore. He was openly celebrating the idea of people losing their jobs, laughing at the notion of shows being canceled, and treating unemployment like a personal victory lap. That's when the tone shifted. This wasn't playful mocker. This was personal. Jimmy Kimmel, visibly furious, dropped the mask completely. On live television, he did something almost unthinkable in modern political comedy. He stopped joking for a moment and spoke plainly. He pointed out that no president should ever find joy in Americans being put out of work, that leadership isn't about cruelty or ego, and that celebrating hardship reveals something deeply broken.
Never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again.
When he called Trump a son of on-air, it wasn't shock humor, it was raw disbelief. The crowd erupted because they felt it too. This wasn't scripted outrage, it was a genuine reaction to a man in power behaving in a way that felt fundamentally un-American. Then came Stephen Colbert, and unlike Kimmel's emotional punch, Colbert chose surgical sarcasm. He opened by thanking Trump for interrupting every major network with what was billed as a national emergency, only to reveal that the emergency was Trump congratulating himself. Colbert framed it perfectly. This wasn't governance, it was self-promotion dressed up as urgency. He mocked the pacing of Trump's speech, joked about how wired he seemed, and pushed the implication just far enough to make audiences gasp and laugh at the same time.
President did some America stuff over there, too. He and King Chuck checked out displays from the royal collection about the relationship between Britain and the United States. Reportedly, when he looked at an item related to American independence, he said, "Wow." Yes.
The satire cut deep because it leaned on something people already suspected, that Trump's performances were more spectacle than substance. But Colbert didn't stop there. When news broke that Trump's allies had voted to rename the Kennedy Center with Trump's name attached, Colbert went nuclear. He framed it as the ultimate act of ego, a living man inserting himself into a memorial for a dead president. The jokes escalated fast, crossing from political critique into cultural dissection. By the time Colbert joked that Trump would rub his name on everything, the laughter wasn't just about humor. It was about recognition.
Oh, yeah.
I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. There's somebody who took pleasure in that. That, to me, is the absolute opposite of what a leader of this country is supposed to be.
Hear, hear.
Here people saw a pattern. The constant branding, the obsession with legacy, the need to dominate symbols instead of earn respect. As the monologues stacked up night after night, another realization began to form. This wasn't just comedians punching up, it was Trump unintentionally handing them material at a historic rate. Long rambling speeches, complaints about pencils and dolls from a man who lives in gold, rants that sounded less like policy and more like panic. The more Trump tried to attack comedy, the more comedy exposed him. Each joke connected back to the same idea, insecurity masquerading as strength. And then Colbert landed the moment that reframed everything. He suggested, half joking, half deadly serious, that Trump's erratic behavior wasn't random. It was distraction, a smokescreen because something was coming, something Trump didn't want people focused on. The looming release of the Epstein files suddenly snapped into view, and the room went quiet. The laughter slowed. The implication was clear. All the renaming, the speeches, the insults, the chaos. It wasn't dominant. It was fear. By the end of the week, late night wasn't reacting to Trump anymore. It was defining him not as a strong man, not as a genius, but as a man spiraling in real time, lashing out at comedian because comedians were saying what millions were already thinking. And as the audience watched this unfold night after night, one thing became impossible to ignore. Trump didn't start this war with late night because they were irrelevant. He started it because they were landing hits he couldn't control. And that set the stage for the moment when Trump tried to fight back one last time and walked straight into the most humiliating response of them,